What's good everyone, welcome back to JDB Selects. As always, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, run up the likes and be sure to leave your tips and winning margins in the comments below. And now that that's out of the way, let's get stuck into my round 21 tips for the 2022 NRL season. Now going over last week's results, after 19 solid weeks we finally had a bit of a mare. I had to back my Warriors at home, the Panthers lost Cleary early, the Titans couldn't get it done and the Tigers stunned the Broncos. I think we all knew there was going to be upsets, but unfortunately, I picked the wrong ones. It is what it is though, we go again this week. Round 21 kicks off with what should be an epic showdown between the 8th placed Sydney Roosters and the 5th placed Brisbane Broncos at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The Roosters managed to get past a severely depleted Manly side last Thursday, but only just. They led by 12 points at half-time, however only completed at 50% in the second half and could only manage 2 second-half points. The Broncos were upset at home by the West Tigers last Saturday, despite the Tigers completing at 66% in the first half. The Broncos have now lost their last 4 games against the Tigers. The Roosters have won 4 of the past 5 against the Broncos, and while the average winning margin in their last 10 games may be 18 points, there have been 5 games decided by 6 points or less. The SCG hasn't been kind to the Chooks recently, as they've lost their last 3 games at the venue and lost to the Broncos the last time these two sides met at the ground. This is another tough game to start the round, but I'm going to take the Roosters by 1 to 12 points. If they can stay switched on for the full 80 minutes, then they should get past Brisbane. The first Friday fixture has the 4th placed Melbourne Storm hosting the last placed Gold Coast Titans at Amy Park, Melbourne. Despite a poor first half, the Storm came out firing right for the word go in the second against the Warriors in Auckland last week and finally snapped their 4-game losing streak. The Titans went down to the Raiders 24 points to 36 on the Gold Coast, despite a competitive first half. The Titans have now only won 1 of their last 15 games this season. The Storm have won 11 of the past 12 games and go into this one having won 7 straight against the Titans, who have only ever beaten Melbourne, in Melbourne, twice in their 10 trips south to Victoria. I think Melbourne would have gained some much-needed confidence against the Warriors last week, which will only mean bad news for the Titans. I think the Storm win and win well, Melbourne 13+. The final game on Friday sees the 10th placed Manly Sea Eagles taking on the 6th placed Parramatta Eels at 4 Pines Park in Sydney. The Sea Eagles gave the Roosters a run for their money last Thursday at Brookie. Despite missing 7 of their starters due to the now infamous rainbow jersey boycott, Manly showed their fighting spirit and competed for the full 80 minutes. The Eels managed to beat the premiership front-running Panthers for the second time this year, due largely in part to Nathan Cleary being sent off early in the first half for a dangerous tackle on Dylan Brown. Parramatta got the best of Manly already this year back in round 11, in a game in which I believe Manly were the better side. The Sea Eagles have won 3 of the past 4 games against the Eels and have only lost at home once this season in 7 games. The Eels on the other hand haven't won at Brookvale Oval since 2017, losing their last 3 outings at the ground. Another tough game to call, but I'm going to take Manly 1 to 12. Super Saturday gets underway with the 7th placed South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the 13th placed Vodafone Warriors at Sunshine Coast Stadium. The Rabbitohs suffered a golden point defeat to the CRONULLA Sharks in what was an extremely competitive game for the 87 minutes it lasted. Souths had opportunities to win it, however, couldn't ice it at the death. The Warriors looked like they had come to play against the Storm in the first half, however, didn't turn up in the second half and lapses in defence allowed Melbourne to take control of the game. South Sydney have won 12 of the past 13 games against the Warriors, including the last 6 straight meetings. The Rabbitohs are undefeated at Sunshine Coast Stadium in their 3 appearances, which includes 2 wins over the Warriors, who are yet to record a victory at the stadium. As much as it pains me to say it, I'm going to have to take the Rabbitohs 13+, I think they'll be too good across the park. The second game on Saturday has the 9th placed Canberra Raiders hosting the 1st placed Penrith Panthers at GIO Stadium, Canberra. The Raiders were able to beat the Titans on the Gold Coast by 12 points in a high-scoring game that saw Canberra take control in the second half. The Panthers not only lost to the Eels for the second time this year, they also lost their captain Nathan Cleary for an extended period for a dangerous tackle on Dylan Brown. The Raiders have only won 2 of the past 9 games against the Panthers and were defeated already this year by 36 points to 6 back in round 7. The two sides haven't met at GIO Stadium since 2018 and Canberra go into this one having won 3 straight at home. This game is extremely hard to tip, but I'm going to take the Raiders by 1 to 12 points. Given that the Panthers will be without Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary, I think the Raiders can continue their rise up the ladder and potentially into the top 8. And the final game on Super Saturday sees the third-placed Cronulla Sharks colliding with the 11th-placed St George Illawarra Dragons at PointsBet Stadium, Sydney. The Sharks managed to defeat the Rabbitohs despite letting in a late try that sent the game into golden point before a Nico Hines field goal in the 87th minute sealed the deal. The Dragons were only down by 2 points at the half against North Queensland, but the Cowboys held them scoreless in the second and piled on 24 points of their own. Cronulla have only lost one home game all season and have won 6 of the past 7 games against the Dragons, who will be looking to snap a 4-game losing streak against the Sharks. I think Cronulla will be too strong at home, despite the Dragons having a bit more to play for, which is why I'm going to take the Sharks by 1 to 12 points. I think the Dragons give it a good crack but ultimately fall short. Sunday gets underway with the 12th-placed Canterbury Bulldogs up against the 2nd-placed North Queensland Cowboys at Salter Oval, Bundaberg. The Bulldogs' mid-season revival continued with a dominant 24-10-point win over the Newcastle Knights, which featured a Jacob Carr's hat-trick and more kicking brilliance from Matt Burton. The Cowboys came on strong against the Dragons, holding them scoreless in the second half while piling on 24 unanswered points in a dominant display of both attack and defense. The two sides have never met at Salter Oval, and while the Bulldogs already beat the Cowboys this year in an extremely low-scoring affair back in round 1, the Cowboys have gone on a tear since and have cemented their position at the very top of the ladder this season. I think both sides will be going into this one extremely confident and it should make for a great game, but I do think the Cowboys can get it done by 1 to 12 points. Their scramble defense is up there with the best and should prove to be the difference. And the final game of round 21 has the 15th-placed West Tigers hosting the 14th-placed Newcastle Knights at Campbelltown Sports Stadium, Sydney. The Tigers outclassed the Broncos at Suncorp last week by 32 points to 18, which proved their performance against the Cowboys last week wasn't a fluke or a one-off. The Knights slumped to their 4th straight loss, this time at the hands of the Bulldogs. Newcastle never looked like they were a chance and now face losing another place on the ladder should they lose to the Tigers. The Knights got the better of the Tigers already this year with a 22-point victory back in round 2, however Newcastle haven't beaten the Tigers at Campbelltown Sports Stadium since 2015 and both sides have struggled with form all season. I'm going to take the Tigers to win this one by 13+, they've come alive in the past 2 weeks and will be looking to make another statement at Campbelltown. So in summary, my round 21 NRL tips are the Roosters 1 to 12, the Storm 13+, the Sea Eagles 1 to 12, the Rabbitohs 13+, the Raiders, Sharks and Cowboys 1 to 12 and the Tigers 13+. Let me know in the comments below who you're tipping this week, as always there's some hard games to call. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel if you found this video useful, your support goes a long way.